Hey everyone, it is November the 3rd, and I am here to talk about my birth story. I had the twins on October 22nd, which was almost 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks on Wednesday. Um, it was a crazy day. I actually had an appointment in the morning for a blood pressure check. That Monday before I had an NST, and my blood pressure was high, so I had to do 24-hour urine and more blood work. Everything came back fine. But I had to go in for another blood pressure check on Wednesday, and there was also my weekly appointment. So I went in and met with the doctor Wednesday morning. Back up to Tuesday night. Tuesday, I was having insane back pain, like all night long. I couldn't get comfortable. I was up all night. My husband kept saying, "Do you want to call? Do you want to call? Are you having contractions?" And I was like, "No, I don't think they're contractions. I think that they're just positioned wrong. My back is just killing me." And I couldn't get comfortable. I was walking around. I was leaning on the bed. I was tossing and turning, and nothing was doing anything. So we, I, I got up that morning to get ready to go to my appointment, and I got up. I made my breakfast. I took a bite of my breakfast, and I threw up like 2 days worth of food. Like, it was awful. If you've been following me all along, I did not get sick at all during this pregnancy. I never had morning sickness, and the only time I did throw up, I had really bad acid reflux. But other than that, I never gotten sick. So I texted my husband, and I was like, I just got really, really sick. I'm headed to the doctor's, but just keep your phone on you. I don't think it's happening today, but it's just weird that I got sick. And apparently, after I had texted him that, he ran around the office, or his plant where he works, and was like, today might be the day, just so you know, I might need to run out of here. So I went to my appointment, and of course, the doctor was on in maternity that day. So she had C-section scheduled, and, inductions and all that. And so she was running late by the time she got down to me. So the nurse did my blood pressure with just a regular cuff, like in her. And it came back kind of high, but kind of normal, and it was kind of weird. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe nothing's wrong. So my doctor came in, and she's like, your blood pressure is not that bad. And I, started to tell her what was wrong. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to send you up for an NST anyway, since you're here, and just make sure that everything's okay. So I went upstairs, and oh my god, I'm gonna cry. And I had my NST, and my blood pressure stayed consistently 160 over 90 for about an hour and a half. They had it, constantly going off, attached to me, and but the babies were fine. They were moving, and whew, gosh, it's just so emotional. And everything was great. And I was, texting, and a friend from high school had actually delivered that morning, or the day before, 5 o'clock the day on Tuesday. And so I was texting her, and I'm like, I'm in here. And she was actually in the room next to me. So she ended up coming in and talking to me, and she had a beautiful baby girl. And so then my doctor came in, and I figured she was just going to be like, all right, we'll follow up with you next week. No big deal. And she walked in, and she just said, today's the day. And I was like, what? So I called my husband, I called my mom, and I was hysterically crying, and we just got ready. So my husband flew home from work, showered, and I wanted to make this without crying, but it's just, you can't. He flew home, showered, got our bags, got to the hospital, and they told me, don't worry, we have some, stuff scheduled in the morning, so, we don't see you going anywhere until after 3 o'clock. And I was like, okay, so that gives me enough time for him to get here and whatever. So he got out of work at 11, and he got to the hospital by noon, or like quarter of noon, 11:45. And he had legit walked in, and they took me out of the NST room and started admitting me into a room. And ironically, I went into 215, which was my friend's room the day before. So, out of all the rooms in the hospital, I thought that was pretty neat. Um, they got us in, they stripped me down, and they started doing, blood work and blood pressure and, getting me all into the system and, getting everything lined up, and they got the warmers ready, and, everything was chaotic. And then all of a sudden they came in and they said, we have to bump her to 2. Usually you get bumped out. I got bumped, back, and, or bumped forward. I don't know which way that is, but they said, we have to do her section at 2. At that point, it was like 1:15, and they changed my husband, and they finished up with all my stuff, and they got me hooked up to IVs, and we were in the OR at 2, and my what is it called, spinal tap was put in at 2:17. I had a really hard time with the spinal tap. I thought that the Novocaine wasn't working, and that's why it hurt. But they actually couldn't get it into my back. And they gave it one more shot before they were going to put me under general anesthesia, which they didn't tell me until after. And they got it in, thankfully. So that went in at 2:17. And I instantly started throwing up and getting really, really sick from the anesthesia. And Easton was born at 2:37. And beautiful Ella was born at 2:38. These postpartum hormones are just ridiculous. Easton James came in at 7'4", 19.5 inches. He's a chunky monkey. And Ella May came in at 6.56 pounds and 18 inches long. And both came out screaming. And it was so emotional. Like, I lost it, and I was crying, and they were telling me I couldn't cry because I was shaking so bad, and they're trying to get stuff done down there, and I couldn't see anything. Like, the sheet was, like, right over my face. And so I sent my husband over I could see Easton, but I couldn't see Ella. She was, past the curtain, so I couldn't really see her. And, they showed me Easton, and they didn't show me Ella, but I heard her screaming, so I knew she was okay. And, they cleaned her up. They cleaned them up. They weighed them. My husband cut the cords. And, they finally, wanted to show me Ella when they were sewing me up. But, I noticed that they couldn't get close to me. And she just said, I can't get any closer to you. There's a lot of fluid on the floor, and we can't slip. And I was like, okay, just take her, and I'll see her, after. And come to find out, I had an abundance of fluid, amniotic fluid, a lot for twins, and it went everywhere. And apparently, a resident, they put up, like, on the side of your belly, they put up, like, these things to, like, catch the fluid, and on his side, he forgot to pull it open. So when they cut my bag of water, it went all into the doctor and the resident's shoes and all over the floor. And then also I lost a lot of blood, so I wasn't really conscious. I was conscious and I was there, but all of a sudden I started feeling like I was gonna pass out, and I just didn't feel good, and I got really scared, and I didn't know why, and I lost 2 liters of blood. She's probably like, Mom is crying, I'm gonna cry too. I lost 2 liters of blood, and so I was hypotensive. My blood pressure, which was so high, all of a sudden extremely dropped really low, and they couldn't get it back up. So because of that, they had to, and I kept bleeding, they had to actually, so with a C-section, you get 7 layers of stitches.
I got 6 layers of stitches, and then my outside was staples because they just had to close me up and get me on, they got me on fluids. They got me, Cytotec. They got me on Pitocin, and they got me on this other drug, like a bag of fluid drugs. So they had to shove another IV in because I only had one IV. So I had 2 IVs going of all these drugs. The Cytotec, they was a suppository, so I put that in to get my uterus to contract and to stop bleeding. So we were out of the room. So she was born at 2:38. We were out of the room by, I want to say, like 3:15 and back into my room by 3:30. So it was super, super, super quick. It was an insane experience. And I don't think you're ever prepared. Even if you like know you're going into labor, I don't think that emotion of them actually being here you're ever prepared for. And I look at them and I'm like, they're mine. Like, how did my body do this? Oh, I'm just being real with you guys. Because if you told me exactly a year ago, I started IVF. I started my birth control like the week before they were born this year. So like it was like October 15th or something like that. I started birth control for IVF. If you told me a year ago that my life would consist of pumping, breastfeeding, formula feeding, burping, changing diapers of 2 beautiful babies, I would have never, ever, ever believed you. I'm telling you right now. I look back and I just think, oh my gosh, like all those losses I've had and all that heartache and all the trouble infertility causes. If you don't give up and you keep chugging along and you get to the other side, it's just so blissful. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. I have a boy and a girl. I have a son and a daughter, and I am so incredibly blessed. I had the most amazing pregnancy on the planet. I can't even tell you how much I miss being pregnant because it was so wonderful. I can't complain a second of my pregnancy. I mean, it was just perfect. To carry twins to 36 weeks and 3 days is just beautiful. And for them to weigh 7'4" and 6'6" is just amazing. It's amazing. And I am so incredibly blessed and so thankful that they're here. Obviously, it's with a C-section, it's so much faster than a regular delivery. So, they both came out fine. Everything checked out fine. One of them scored 9 out of 9 or 9 out of 10 on the app gear, whatever that thing is, and the other one was 8 because they don't ever give perfect or whatever. It was something like that. Their oxygen levels were perfect. They needed no NICU time, no feeding tubes, no help breathing. They were perfect. They were like full-term babies, and everyone was incredibly shocked that at 36 weeks I had babies. I mean, he came into the world bigger than my friend that had just given birth the day before to a full-term baby. So, they were good-sized babies. And am I thankful that I didn't go to 38 weeks? Probably, but we probably wouldn't have had the issues that we've had them coming into the world. They are considered preemies, not by size, but by age. And we've had a lot of trouble with feeding and breastfeeding and latching and all of that, which I'm going to do a completely separate video on. But they're healthy and they're beautiful. And I would love to show them to you guys. But right now I just want to keep them to myself. They're just my perfect little babies, and I could stare at them all day long. I'm fortunately blessed enough to have maternity leave until Christmas, and then I need to make a decision with what we're going to do with work, because with 2 babies, it's twice the cost of daycare, but at the same point we need money. So we'll see once I get closer. I mean, I'm totally not in an emotional stage to make any big decisions right now. But I'm lucky enough to be home throughout through the holidays with them, which is just huge for me. I actually, behind this, because I'm on my computer because my camera's downstairs, I'm actually going to design their stockings today and finish their announcement card, and then I have to feed them. I have to eat, feed, pump, that whole 9 yards. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I honestly wouldn't. I still can't believe they're here. I always thought, like, when I got pregnant, is it ever going to feel real? So I had all these steps. It's going to feel real once I hit the 2nd trimester. It's going to feel real once we find out what gender it is. It's going to feel real once I feel them move. It's going to feel real once I see them. And it doesn't. It never seems real. I constantly think I'm dreaming. You cannot ever give up. If you were watching my video right now and you are still TTCing and battling infertility, just don't give up. I mean, I know I have the question, would I do it all over again? The 3.5 years of trying and everything, I would do it in a heartbeat to get these 2 beautiful babies. I would do it all over again. They're perfect and they're beautiful. And I love them. So that's my birth story. It's very quick and, simple, but I'm going to try and make this under 20 minutes, but some of the complications I've had from the birth, because I lost so much blood, my H&H, which are my iron levels, H&H is the medical term, it's my hematocrit, and I think hemoglobin, I can't remember, was 22/7, which is extremely low, and they wanted to transfuse, and I had a conversation with my doctor, and I just said I didn't want a transfusion, and she said, I don't want to do it either, you're young, you'll bounce back, let's not do it. But because it was low, I had complications with my milk coming in, which you have complications with a C-section anyways, it takes longer, and then to have low iron, my body was trying to build that back up, so that was a problem. Also, because of the low iron, I was white as a ghost, and I was very nauseous a lot and just very lethargic. I couldn't really do much. We ended up staying in the hospital for 5 days. On the 5th day, they weighed them, and she actually ended up failing her first car seat test, but once we fixed her head, she ended up passing. And then they both lost weight. He lost 8% and she lost 10% of her weight. So in order for us to leave on the 5th day, which would have been in the morning, we had to have reweigh at 4 p.m. And he ended up staying the same, and she ended up gaining an ounce. So she went up she lost 9% of her birth weight. So they let us go, but that's been a battle back and forth right now. So I'll get more into detail with the first week of life and all of that stuff in a different vlog, but this is my birth story. They're here, and they're happy, and they're healthy, and we're home, and I'm sorry I cried this entire vlog, and now I look like crap. I'm glad I didn't put makeup on, but thank you for watching and for all your support, and I hope to have more videos soon for you. Bye.